And welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. I'm Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture. Michael Sidgwick here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a round of the week complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Michael Sidgwick to review AEW Dynamite. You were very excited for this show. Did it live up to your expectations?
Expectations absolutely met. I thought the show was excellent. Yet again, I'm really starting to think something is happening with AEW. Usual caveat applies. I need months of this. But I mentioned on the preview yesterday that I was genuinely buzzing about, it's Dynamite tonight. I get to watch Dynamite in the morning. And it's a feeling that I've really missed for quite a few years now at this point. That sense of not only will this week's show be good, they've done amazing pay-per-views, obviously. They've done incredible TV shows in that post-Brawl Out doldrums era, but not so consistently and frequently that I'm in the groove that in my honest gut, I'm thinking, yep, this is going to last. This is going to last. And worse yet, I was burned ahead of and just after Revolution last year, thinking that, we're back. And when you get deprived of that, when you are made to feel foolish, that will only strengthen your resolve to put something at arm's length, detach from it emotionally. So I have been here before. There is a sense of, not 100% feeling back all the way in. But watching this show, and more importantly, anticipating and reveling in the idea of this show, really underscored to me that, not only is this show going to be good, but next week's is. In fact, next week's, I wouldn't really at this point, I'd almost forgive them if it's not quite as good because they've got the big title match to build to. So I'm expecting more table setting, a little bit of a breather next week, but the point still stands. I'm expecting more Dynamites to be great and worth being excited about than another middling period where it's just whoever wrestling whoever and it's a bit trivial and you don't really like the directive. We are pointing in the right direction at long last. And it feels like, and this is such a massive deal, I think CM Punk could do a shoot interview or an interview or a pod or whatever and reveal something else and relitigate everything. I'd like to think that, all right, okay, cool, whatever. It won't impact Dynamite. It won't compel Tony Khan to just march out someone who's been in the promotion all of 3 months to do a rah-rah speech. I just feel like that ghost has been exercised at last. It just feels like it has no bearing on anything we're doing. Yes, the Young Bucks are still doing the company's not what we want it to be, and that is all indirectly tied to the CM Punk stuff. But I don't know if I'm going to hear Change the World again.
Yeah, it's amazing how much the feeling can come back when you don't talk about the feeling.
An amazing point well made. Like, I understand that, yes, the Young Bucks are heels, and you can link it back to that. And John Moxley is head of the Death Riders, is still doing the, no one's stepping up and blah, blah. I feel like that's slowly just being ushered out of the narrative, and it has to be there to a degree. But we are now in, all right, well, Moxley has a problem with Joe because Joe wants to kick his ass. And we are tying the Young Bucks grievances as heels back into basically Carter wants Kenny again and Kenny wants Carter again. And just more fictional reasons for why they are going to be in anarchy in the arena rather than this war for the soul stuff. They are tying it back to personal issues, and that is only ever a good thing.
Yeah, just a word on what you mentioned there about them sort of reacting stuff like they did in the past. I thought a real point on that, and we haven't had a chance to talk about it, was that Spring Breakthrough episode, which was obviously the big, the title of it was what they were doing, obviously, with them, showcasing the fact that they've beaten Nitro. I thought it was really prominent on that show that they achieved that, and they were celebrating that fact, obviously, but it wasn't filled with, like, little nudges and references and what have you. They were just like, we've done this, that's out of the way, now let's just carry on being.
Yeah, and even Tony Khan, I think he might have had a word with himself, or maybe he got told.
Yeah.
But that days of bald asshole and digging out Taker and Cena, who deserve everything that you get, incidentally, for going, it's the first show that they've ever appeared on that drew fewer than 1 million viewers. And if that petty sort of defensive, small fry mentality was still there in Tony Khan, who it feels like has done a bit of growing up and maturing at long last, it was overdue, he would have went, actually, Nick Khan, you're the arsehole. And he's over it. And it's only going to benefit AEW. That challenger brand mentality was necessary. It was, in fact, enforced upon him, he reckons, by Warner. Your Pepsi, be defiant, be the challenger brand. Maybe there's been a shared realization or even a directive, whatever works or whatever has worked. It's over now. Just get your fucking head down and do good. And it feels like after a temporary blip, that Dynamite from a month ago where I was really cross with it, it feels like, nope, that's not actually the play. Just do good stuff. Just do good stuff. And we're doing good stuff. And even if we are going to do a little bit more in the way of, well, the company's not great and we need to change, which no character should be saying in any context whatsoever, surely All In is the time when it ends. And because that's drawing near, I'll forgive it if it does rear its head.
Let's get into this show then, because we were very excited about this 8-man, which,
oh my God,
as we correctly called, opened the show, as we correctly called the main event as well. I thought this was the right layout for the show.
Yeah, it was awesome. An awesome show. I'm going to try not to interject here. I'm sorry if I do. I will be pressing the button on occasion.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I'm not going to be able to sum it up either. I'm going to attempt the best I can, but go and pause this, go and watch it, and then come back, because I will have missed probably your favorite spot in there, because there were so many. Because you've got Kenny Omega, Speedball Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight, and Mark Briscoe versus Kazuchika Okada, Ricochet, and the Young Bucks. So amazing spots aplenty in here. Obviously, they big up and Excalibur puts over, before the bell even rings, the history of Okada and Omega. And what was it, 7 years? You said
7 years since they've shared a ring.
And as anticipated by us, they start the match, although Okada immediately bails, and as Kenny Omega's like frustrated by all this, the heels use this opportunity to just jump the baby faces to kickstart the match. Nicholas Jackson targets Omega's arm. There was a funny spot early on where he kept people would come in, and Nicholas would was on the apron, and someone would hand him Kenny Omega's arm. He'd just smash it over his shoulder.
Playing on the torn labrum, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, feel
There's
free.
always a detail. There's always a detail.
And that happened about 3 times, I think, but the 4th try, it did not go to plan. Matthew still smashed the arm up, but then put his hand up and realized, the person I'm doing this to is bald, because it's Ricochet. Funny spot there. There was a sort of 8-way of missed elbow drops from everyone in it to lead to a stalemate. The Bucks tried a crane kick.
A train kick.
To Bailey and Knight, who kicked them right in the face, taking to our first commercial break. When we come back...
I know what a crane kick is.
Ricochet and Matthew did Locomotion Northern Lights on Bailey and Knight. And Ricochet got the chance to see what life would be like with hair, thanks to Matthew Jackson, but received You're Still Bald chance. Also, shout out to the bloke we were talking about just before we started. A lot of talk about wrestling signs on this podcast still to come. The person who had the you give the bald community a bad name, Ricochet, or whatever it said, as soon as he walked out on this show. There was an attempt at a
shot to the heart, and you're too lame.
Nice.
You give bald a bad name. Bad name.
The Elite and Ricochet tried a quadruple brainbuster, but they ate a quadruple suplex for their troubles. There was slingshot dives by Omega, Knight, Bailey, and Briscoe. And Knight and Bailey double team Okada back inside with a missile drop kick. Omega comes in, goes after Okada, who immediately bails, trips up Omega. Nicholas is on the apron, and Omega and Bailey get hung up on the ropes and the apron separately. And Nicholas and Ricochet hit stereo 450 and swantons to take us to another commercial break.
I love that, man. I'm sorry. There was so much densely packed in action that you just didn't know what spot to look at.
I was kind of glad it was on telly.
Derangement of the senses.
To be honest, because if I was in the arena, you wouldn't know where to look, like you say. Omega gets isolated during the break. He tries to make the tag when we come back, but all of his teammates get pulled off. He gets hit by
you suck, bro.
DDT by Matthew Jackson. But in the end, Omega dodged a Ricochet springboard 450, smashes his head into the mat instead. Briscoe makes the hot tag. Redneck Kung Fu on the Young Bucks. Knight and Bailey come in and take them out. Okada eats a high-low and Bailey does a triangle moonsault and Knight clears the post for a dive outside.
Oh my God.
Quite right. Jay Driller gets counted into an air raid crash on the knee by Okada, who hits the top rope elbow, does the Rainmaker flip-off pose, turns around to Omega, then Bailey's in there to kick the finger away, and there's a load of kick counters with Nicholas in there as well.
Oh my
What a
God.
sequence. That dodge. I'm sorry.
Nicholas catches Bailey with a super kick. Knight, I'm not going to mess this up. Knight leapfrogged both Bucks into a Pele. There's a Ricochet double stomp to him. Briscoe hits an exploder, but Okada hits him with a John Woo dropkick. And finally, we get the Omega Okada face-off. And they do slug it out. Omega avoids a dropkick. Okada suddenly is in a position for the one-winged angel for a split second.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, my God.
God.
I have to do a quick break. I'm very, very
You
sorry.
said you'd hit it at least 5 times on the preview yesterday.
I know, and I said I wouldn't interject, but in case I forget, this was genuinely my favorite spot of the match, right? It was so urgent at this point, that action was so breathless, as you would expect it to be, that you have now engaged in kind of vibrating. I'm kind of fist pumping in my living room like a little dog when I see this interaction between these two. Actually, my favorite spot might have been that Kevin Knight dropkick onto
Okada?
I can't
Held in
remember.
place by Bailey, I think.
Someone was on someone's shoulders and Kevin Knight did
Oh,
the
no,
drop kick.
that might be still to come, actually.
Yeah, it was awesome. This one-winged angel attempt was so goddamn good, right? It was one of the key threads in the this legendary, iconic Omega Okada series, where in the first match of it, Wrestle Kingdom 11, January 4th, 2017, it's 46 minutes, built on the idea of Okada Omega, like doing that sort of targeting the lower back, the back, neck, and head, basically trying to get into a position where if he can finally get Okada on his shoulders for that one-winged angel, which, as I've discussed extensively, is the ultimate finish, not only because of how mythologized it's been, how well he's done to protect it, but it's got that ultimate risk-reward where if he hits it, it's a guaranteed kick out. There's literally one rule-proving exception, Kota Ibushi 2012, where this move is not 100% effective. But it's a convoluted setup by immaculate design. Like, it's so worth doing it, but at the same time, a good, skilled wrestler will be able to counter it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've seen John Silver do an awesome, like, wheelbarrow pin. I've seen Phoenix and other wrestlers do a Poison Rana. You know, I've seen Pac do the Brutalizer. But it's so worth trying again and again and again, because if he does it, it's over. Now, because Okada isn't merely a skilled, good wrestler, he's a living legend and has been basically since he first got his IWGP title, his first one. He, more than most, knows how to escape it. And there's so many great escapes from that one-winged angel in the history of that series. The best, or at least my favorite, happens in the first match, where he's got Omega has Okada on his shoulders, and it's 20 minutes in, and at the time, you don't know there's 26 more to go, but you're thinking, oh my God, this could be the finish. God, that match is a masterpiece. God, Dave Meltzer needs to go back and watch it and realize, hang on, I have been overrating everything since
What did he give that?
He gave it 6.
Okay.
He'd had dished out 6 before, but he'd done it in a weird way where it was like 5-star and then a few pluses, and he talked about a 6-star match, but it never actually appeared, the 6 asterisks in the newsletter. So it felt like it broken the scale, and that's when, everything changes, like 6 stars in the Tokyo Dome. New Japan starts to really go on the map. It feeds into AEW. It's legendary. We went 6 on that, 6 1/4 on the Dominion draw hour long, flat 6 on the G1, and then 7.
7, yeah.
And then, as Hamfler pointed out at the time, the Steiner math in his review of Dominion 2018, he's like, well, I had different people say the first fall was 5.5, and the second was 8. And it's the same. Just say it's 7. That's already crazy enough, but I kind of get it at the same time. So in this version, I'm sorry, I'm getting to it. Because this match is already like chaotic, breathless, so intricate, it went off seamlessly as well. It was really ambitious, fun, hit a lot of different tones, but like at this point, we're really starting to, I'm 40 nearly, cook. And it's like, it's breaking down.
Well, we're all in our 30s.
We're all in our 30s. We're both in our 30s.
We're both in our 30s.
Yeah, and it starts to fall apart, break down, move, sequence, counter, dodge, tag. It's like, because they've got this breathless thing, where they are engineering this feeling of everything could be the finish. Everything could be the finish. This one-winged angel, I'm like, this meant something to me because I'm a realist and a cynic, but I also love this dynamic. It's my favorite in pro wrestling history. I've had doubts, obviously not the mental layout of the match, but so much of it was premised on how unbelievably great these dudes were as athletes that I'm thinking some of the magic will be missing. They are both well past their physical primes. Can they truly capture the magic? And I'm watching this, and obviously by design, you get the tiniest little snapshot of what they can still do together, because the very obvious idea is they only want to do a little bit, so you want to see more. And then at Anarchy in the Arena, presumably, they will do a little bit more, to the point where you're thinking, A, I need to see a feature-length match again, and B, I've seen the snapshots, they've still got it, let's go, I can't wait. But I had been worried about it until their interactions in this match, because Omega's not what he was physically, and Okada might be on his best day, but only when he can be asked.
He's found it in some time.
Yeah, of course he has. They do this one-winged angel attempt, and my heart f***ing stops, because they go so far with it where you think, he's done the move!
Yeah.
They're going to have to do a save or something. So Omega gets Okada, and he gets the head, and he puts it forward like he's going full arc into the one-winged angel, and only when he's about to fully rotate does Okada panically go, no, I'm off the shoulders.
Yeah.
It was such the descent in my gut was like, oh, he's gonna do it, and then he was so far into the rotation, and then he slips back out. It's like
Snapdragons get out of it, was it?
Something like that. Yeah. No, I think he got out of it, and then moved around. But it was almost as far as it could go, and it almost mirrored that one Wrestle Kingdom attempt where, so he's got him on the shoulders, and he gets the head, and Okada is doing the rotation. I think that's the finish. He doesn't do the rotation. He kind of front flips out of it, and to this, well, for however many times I watched it, I'm thinking, how has he done that? How's he done that? How's he done that? In my book, Becoming All Elite, The Rise of AEW, I do I think about 2,000 words on that Wrestle Kingdom match, because I kind of wanted to, and it's foundational to this new era of critical acclaim and how much better New Japan was in WWE, and how there was a sense within TV of, hang on, if there's a better WWE, should we not pay for that and put it on TV? It changes everything. It changes everything. So, again, just to set the scene, we'll do the recap of this match in a second. Does the one-winged angel, is about to drive the head forward to the mat, and Okada, as if he's made out of some kind of elasticized material, this rubber man, flips out of it. And I've watched it about 5 times or however many times. I'm thinking, it's the best counter I've seen in my life. How's he done it? And I have to break the magic for myself a little bit, because I want to find out really how they did it in Becoming All Elite, The Rise of AEW. So I'll rewind it about 8 or 9 times, and then I just go, that's how they do it. So I've kind of ruined the magic for myself, but at the same time, it's almost so impressive as craft that I don't care that I worked out how the sausage is made. So he does it. And then what you notice is Omega, as Okada's just about to rotate out, jams his shoulder up, and that gives Okada like a little sort of bump to go into the front flip. It's pro wrestling magic, and they captured it again just about here with a slightly inferior take on the best counter ever. And I'm just so happy knowing, they've still got it.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
That slippery feeling of, oh, no, he got out.
Yeah, we said we didn't want any interaction.
No, I'm glad we did.
But now we've had it, I agree. Like, you've got just a taste of what we're going to get, presumably, in a couple of months' time. Omega following this, after Okada gets out the one-winged angel and hits the Snapdragon, wants the V-trigger, but runs into an Okada dropkick. Omega ducks the Rainmaker, but runs into a super kick party from the Bucks. Everyone comes in. Omega and Briscoe are in the tombstone position. Nicholas and Ricochet leapt off with a dropkick into a senton. People falling onto the bodies as well. Double tombstone. EVP trigger gets dodged by Briscoe. Bloody knees.
I really thought that was the finish as well.
Yeah.
I really thought that was the finish.
Bucks and Ricochet get sent to the outside. Briscoe counters Rainmaker into a J Driller, but Ricochet breaks up the pinfall, goes up top. Bailey cuts him off. This was the spot. Gets him on his shoulders, and Knight hits a drop kick that sent Ricochet back flipping onto the books outside.
Oh my God.
The vertical leap is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like 1991 Scott Steiner.
Terrifying, that spot. Because I could see, I was like, where are you going? Where are you landing with this?
Was it Furnace or Lafon who had that unbelievable drop kick? Either way, this might have it beat.
Omega hits a Terminator dive onto the pile. Briscoe hit a rolling DVD on Okada. Wanted the froggy bow, but Ricochet crotched him, and Okada hit the Rainmaker to get the win for the heels.
Right, okay. I've covered my favorite bit in the match. It's the sort of thing that's more felt than articulated. Just this heady, adrenaline-fueled rush where you just don't want it to end. You could watch it again and pick up different sequences. The tone was amazing. It was very much like Excalibur explicitly referenced PWG and Reseda Hall on commentary. It was very much indebted to that wonderful party match, but it sort of progressed in terms of action, exhilaration, and tone, where you had this really nice comedy, like the bit where Omega outsmarted Matt Jackson and just sort of substituted himself for Ricochet with Matt Jackson gurning towards the hard cam. Didn't realize that he was beating up Ricochet, and Okada's no, was fantastic. And then you got that like cool, almost 80s babyface stuff with like the taking in turns to do the 10 counts in the corner. I don't know if the Yanks would have seen it, but that was on Triller in the commercial break. And then it starts to get more exciting and more serious and more like really emotionally resonant if you're a fan of that late, and of course you are, you watch AEW, that late 2010s scene where everything changes, and seeing 4,000 or 3,500 in the States come up for it means people are still fighting for that title. The drama was absolutely ridiculous towards the end. And the spots were just unhinged. The creativity was absolutely great. But the thing that struck me most, other than the Okada Omega reaction and that unbelievable near delivery of the One-Winged Angel, which just really kind of, I loved it, meant something to me, that was the sound at the finish. Now, if you want to broadly reduce what pro wrestling psychology is, and there's no strict definition because terrible psychology is great to some people, like great psychology is terrible to other people. It's so subjective and fluid. If you want to boil it down, my read on it, and you know, Shawn Michaels has said something similar, other wrestlers have in the past, is the key to great crowd psychology is making people make noise for a sustained amount of time that wavers and fluctuates. There's a time to be quiet and hushed. You want to get people up and then down, and it's basically the successful manipulation of the crowd's emotion measured by noise. That's my, if I can do it in a sentence, that's a sentence for crowd psychology. The noise that this crowd makes when Okada pins Briscoe,
yes,
it's unlike very few things I've ever heard. It was, you know, in a sitcom, and like, picture this classic 3-camera, late 80s, early 90s sitcom in your head with the studio effects and the canned laughter and the noises, like the woo! The hot guy's kissing the chick, or the nerd's kissing the chick. Woo! So all these sound effects, right? When there's like a really sentimental moment, you can hear the studio audience, air quotes, go, "Aww." Or when, like, the older brother's going to college and it's sad. They go, "Aww.
I'm going to miss you guys."
That sound, right? When Okada pins Briscoe, you can hear the audience that are quite happy to watch this go another 20 minutes minimum go, it's over. I mean, it's not quite the same, right? And this match will not be anywhere near as iconic, nor, frankly, was it as good as Supercard of Honor 2006. Do fix a Blood Generation, that Dragon Gate match that ROH gets, where it's the trios match. And they do 2, if you're looking it up. It's not going to be remembered, and it wasn't as good. But that is defined in my memory and my nostalgia for that match when the fans are going mental, banana for everything they're doing. And they sense, actually, after so many red herrings and unbelievable false finishes, they can tell by the rhythm of the match that, we are actually getting that elusive finish, because they can just sense it can't go any more than this. We're getting the finish. They start going, please don't stop, please don't stop, please don't stop. It is literally something people also say during sex, because that's how high they are by this match, this legendary trios match. Obviously not quite the same, but not dissimilar, because it's finished.
I was looking up at the time, 26 minutes and 25 seconds.
And people would have, on the basis of that reaction, which is the closest thing you're going to get to, it's the most subjective thing. Everything's subjective in art and entertainment, wrestling more so than most things. You can tell by the tribalism how subjective it all is. The closest thing you're going to get to, this audience objectively loved it, is the level of noise, the level of interaction, how sustained it is, how much it builds, if it peaks before the finish, Dax Harwood. Mm-hmm. That's realistically, other than the money, a number of people in the audience, even then, Cody Cena, you can tell people didn't like it very much, because listen to how flat it all was. It's the closest you're going to get to the objective seal of approval. And I can't recall hearing that noise. I was ready for more of that.
I think Dave goes 5 on it. You're the sort of Dave whisperer of the office.
Ooh. Dave will go 4-3 on this.
Go 5 on the main event, maybe.
I reckon go 4-3 on both. I don't know. This to me, right, and I like this because they are going presumably to do Anarchy in the Arena. And then what follows that? Every year for some freaking reason, because, it draws a rating relative to what they're doing. Very strong one. Every year. So they'll do Anarchy in the Arena and probably Blood and Guts. Tis the season.
It's just the wrong way around, isn't it?
I know. And the fact that they do it at the same point every year has a detrimental effect on a lot of things. I'd like to see Blood and Guts, if the occasion demands it. Let's do it in December if needs be, or November. And Anarchy in the Arena is so much better than Blood and Guts as well. Anyway, this is a tangent. But what I'm saying is, at first I'm thinking you're doing a lot of fun and a lot of frivolity in a party match, and then they do the serious stuff at the end, of course. So I'm thinking it might be a little bit too irreverent and funny and comedic for Dave to do the full 5.
That makes sense.
All the missed elbow drops. It's a comedy spot. The Ricochet stuff, comedy. The hair stuff with Ricochet and Matt Jackson, comedy. I think Dave, it might be a little bit too light-hearted and comedic for him to do the full, it's the full 7, obviously, but the 5, So I think he'll go 4-3. But on that, for a while, I was thinking, before I lost my mind, a little bit, I knew it was going to have elements of that. It's the books, it's TV. But at the same time, there's so much time to get serious. Like, Anarchy in the Arena will have fun moments. It is just kind of what Omega and the Bucks and Ricochet do and Okada does. So that'll be incorporated in all of it, maybe until All In. But I can completely understand why they went engaged full party mode in this particular match, because we've got loads more time to really deepen the tone, like get those stakes higher, get a bit more emotion and seriousness to it. So this was the perfect version of what it was. I was in TV wrestling heaven watching this.
We've got the rest of the show to talk about now. The Hurt Syndicate arrived backstage. And there's a group of lads there. Yay, Hurt Syndicate. We hurt people. We hurt people. And MVP says, you know what's more fun than hearing someone chant that? People actually doing it. And they kill all of them. Beat them all up. And MVP wants to address the elephant in the room. Benjamin tells Bobby Lashley, you can trust MVP. MJF's funny, and come on, he got a new car. Lashley's like, I can buy my own damn car, thanks very much. And MVP's like, look, I think you should maybe consider it, because at the end of the day, if MJF screws us, we'll hurt him like he's never been hurt before. And Bobby Lashley's like, maybe I will consider it. More on that in a short while. Then we got a very basic squash match. Nice to see Nick Comoroto back in a ring after 9 months out for hip resurfacing surgery,
Jesus Christ, that sounds awful.
Yeah. It was the Ops, Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, and Powerhouse Hobbs versus Miles Hawkins, Rhett Titus, and as I said, Nick Comoroto. Rhett Titus gets killed. Comoroto comes in, has a chop battle with Shibata, which he loses, brings in Hawkins, and he gets killed by Hobbs, who hits a spine buster to get the win. Not much really to talk about here.
No, but...
All about post-match, really.
Confession, right? I knew this was a pretext to a promo from Joe. Realistically, he could have just come out and cut a promo. But, they're trying to get ticket sales and these matches and how great some of them are becoming a literal selling point all over again for AEW. I know it was one night, but it feels like more people are incrementally coming to these AEW shows and they're having a better time because they're loud. So maybe doing more matches instead of promo segments or hiding a promo segment with a match is a tactic they've always done. I don't know. I don't have the data. But, confession, so I'm watching this and I'm thinking, yeah, this is going to go 2 minutes and there's going to be nothing to say about it. I'll have a quick look at BBC just to make sure there's no more horrendous news for me to worry about. Then I heard the Joe chop and I was like, oh, I'm putting my phone down.
Yeah.
They didn't do much, but everything that was executed was done.
Rhett Titus got destroyed.
Yeah, it was a very short, swift murder as opposed to a very short, swift squash.
Did you have the same thought process as me? Just maybe subsequent to hearing Joe's promo, but if I'll mention it here. Lots of mentions, understandably. It's the Ops. You got Taz on commentary. Lots of mentions for Hook. Is there a danger that you think, obviously Mox is leaving with the title, that Hook costs Joe?
I don't know.
Taz was like, he's recovering really quickly. He's feeling a lot better. And I did feel like there's a fairly obvious story here. And you get Hook versus Joe coming off the back of it potentially as well, of Hook being like, kind of moved on real quick when I got injured, didn't you? Just brought Powerhouse Hobbs in and won the titles.
There's an inbuilt explanation for a Hook heel turn, and quite frankly, he needs some kind of shift in character because he's, it's just not worked out.
There is a bit of me that would actually genuinely be intrigued in a Death Rider storyline of Mox having his head turned a little bit and Wheeler Yuta being like, well, how was your kind of golden boy?
Yeah.
So
Mox needs something to do.
Yeah.
After, and the Yuta program.
Got 2 months still to go as well, too.
Yeah, so Mox will need something to do after that. So you might be onto something here. The idea was Hook's absence was kind of enforced because he's shooting a movie or something.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad way to go. Like, Hook needs something new to do. Mox will need something after dropping the title. And look,
you could even bring in the sort of reality of it. I know it wasn't obviously planned, but Hook could say, like, I was vomiting in the ring and you were busy cutting promos on Jon Moxley.
Yeah.
Like, there is a story to be told there.
Absolutely. And it's a steel cage match. You know what that means? The opposite of what they say it's going to be.
Yeah.
No interferences. Interference. Got it, boss.
Yeah. There's sort of a blink and you'll miss it appearance from the Death Riders here. They run in post-match, attack. Joe just completely gets the upper hand on Mox and hits him with the coquina clutch on the ramp. But perhaps it was all a scheme because that allows Claudio to set up that upside-down chair in the ring and hit a neutralizer on Shibata onto the chair to take him out. Scream! They leg it out of the arena. Joe screams at Mox to come back, but he's heading out of there. So Joe says, Mox, you like to come out and act like a bouse, but when we throw hands, you act like a little bitch.
I love throw hands.
Yeah. You begged for me weeks ago. I'm just trying to give you what you want, mate. And let's give the people what they want. If I'm going to fight for that AEW title, let's do it inside a steel cage. My name is Samoa Joe, and I'll be your next world champion.
I'll try not to talk too much about the steel cage stipulation. Spoiler, I don't like it. Because we're going to have to preview that show at some point. Joe's promo was weird. I loved the delivery when he got the words out. He seemed cool. It's a really cool departure from, like, I don't know, Coop. All that four-way stuff at World's End. This is a dynamic that I can buy into, and they've kept it simple, stupid, by having Joe do what he does best, and that is promise victory. You can believe it. How intimidating is he? He's very sweaty in a distracting way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
it was difficult to take him 100% seriously and credible, even though it's Joe. He seemed knackered, the poor guy. A bit of stumbly-bumbly in his words. Not his best delivery, but even his sort of, you're right, mate, delivery is still, I'm sure you're just fine, and you're a little bit scary.
You're terrifying. Yeah, we'll talk more about that steel cage in a couple of weeks, as you said.
Yeah, sure will, boss.
Meanwhile, Renee Paquette was sitting down backstage with Mercedes.
Money.
And mentions how a year ago she was on a mission. A year later, she's a global champion. She runs through her belts, New Japan Strong. The Rev Pro British title.
And I mean...
So.
Oh my God.
Mercedes doing accents is great. No. British. Do it every promo now.
And obviously the TBS title, I should mention. But Renee brings up the Owen Hart Foundation finals against Jamie Hayter at Double or Nothing. And Mercedes says, I could go on about the legacy of the Hearts and Owen, but let's be honest, it's all about me. What a prick. What an absolute prick.
Which is great.
She talks about winning a title a year ago at Double or Nothing. Do you think this year is going to be any different? Renee's quite rightly saying, I think you might be slightly underestimating Jamie Hayter here, who's bigger than you, stronger than you. And Mone's basically saying, well, I've been undefeated since I arrived here. I've beaten the best all over the globe. I've got 4 belts. This show runs on my time. Every time I step into the ring, I make history. Hey, props to Jamie Hayter. She reminds me a bit of me. Except she looks like some out of Scooby-Doo, and a cartoon character can't win the AEW titles. And Renee sells the match as if we needed it for Double or Nothing.
I thought this was absolutely fantastic. I don't know if they've been crafty here at AEW, right? Where they have, it feels like they've helped Mercedes Money out a little bit. I know that sounds patronizing, right? Mercedes Money is not, nor has ever really been a 5-star live mic down the lens promo.
No. I can hear about this music.
Correct. In this setting, she carries herself like an absolute megastar. She, away from the glare of the spotlight, is so much more composed. She can get so much more of a character over. It's setting dependent. It's always in these backstage things, and she has developed this wicked rapport with Renee Paquette. It's really good rapport, but that illustrates how good Renee Paquette is at her job as well. It feels like a nice little move where they've been, like, Renee's almost like Mercedes Money's personal interviewer / right hand, like the hand of Monet in these segments. It feels like a really good collaboration between them two, and I think it's yet another smart move from Tony Khan this year. God knows he didn't have many last year. That breeds trust in the process of, you do know what you're doing. You do know how to maximize your talents. You do know how to put them in the right spots. There's just something about this Mercedes Money promo where I've never seen it this confident. There's no stumbly-bumbly. There's no really awkward moments where she often feels overwhelmed when she's in the ring by the reaction. I think she's probably a quite highly emotional person. I mean, I can't relate. Dead inside to a large extent. Did you think this was good as well, or am I over
came across a lot more, not I shouldn't say more professional than usual, because they've been doing this for quite some time now, but I much prefer this to whenever she's out there trying to cut promos.
I thought
later on's different, obviously.
Yeah.
It was just a brief, thing to get her brawling with Hayter.
Like, just the way this idea of Mercedes Money after that Tokyo Dome debut, where I'm like, what else you got?
What the hell was that?
What the hell was that? And then the matches were always like, well, another 3-3 from Monet. I was expecting like 5s, and you were great in WWE, and isn't the whole idea like in ring at least you get even better when you leave? And is this really working that much? I'm starting to really buy into the promise of post WWE Sasha Banks for the first time over the past however many months. It took a while to get there.
Yeah.
Longer than the fans and AEW as an entity would like, but we're there. She really feels like a superstar now.
And that streak means something now. I think initially it was just like, well, you're not going to beat her for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
Now it feels earned. But Renee Paquette was earning her money because then she was backstage with the Patriarchy. That being, of course, Kip Sabian, Nick Wayne, Christian Cage, and, of course, Nick Wayne's mom, who's got it going on. Nick Wayne is going to be representing AEW in the Best of the Super Juniors next week. But Christian Cage says, no, actually, don't talk to him. Talk to me. Actually, don't talk to me. What's Jay Lethal doing here? Jay Lethal interrupts and says he wants to talk to Nick Wayne, not Christian Cage. Talks about his bright future, but he's still got a lot to prove, and challenges him to a match tonight. The longest reigning ROH champion in history against the youngest champion in ROH history. Nick's not too sure about this. He's not warmed up, but Christian Cage accepts on his behalf.
This is probably, despite not being objectionable at all in and of itself, that a fine little match. To be honest, I think some of Jay Lethal's stuff looked particularly choreographed and convoluted in this match.
I thought you wouldn't like all of this, by the way. Jay Lethal, impromptu match, all of it. I was like, this is going to be the bit that Sidge doesn't like on the show. This is the
bit on the show I didn't like. The match itself, spoiler, we'll just skip it when we get to it. I thought some of Lethal's stuff did look a bit choreographed and telegraphed and a little bit fake. Like making bad decisions to arrive at counters. Like stuff that I just thought was a little bit, not for me, that.
I like the bit at the end when Christian Cage was like, I'll have the belt because I want to put it around your waist.
Yeah, I like that.
Like
as
I'm
a riff,
Dana White or something.
Like
yeah,
a riff on what he was doing with Luchasaurus as well. I didn't
see Luchasaurus was at a basketball game in a mask recently.
Oh, that's good. Nice, he's getting out and about. Genuinely, I like that.
Yeah.
But we should have done that on Collision. That would have been the perfect slot. Why are you laughing at?
Because you said literally yesterday, not sure about this whole, women's title eliminate. I mean, that's something for like, I don't know, Lady Frost.
Yeah.
I popped up in the corner. I was like, are they listening?
Or are they just that predictable?
Yeah.
This would have been the perfect slot, Jay Lethal versus Nick Wayne, to do a second women's match.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Because it didn't really achieve anything other than, there's tension between Christian Cage and Nick Wayne.
Which we knew
that already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree completely on that one. But speaking of women's matches, we got sorry, just checking my notes here, Sidge. Only women's match on the show.
Come on,
earlier
man.
than I anticipated.
What was the time? We didn't play the game because Hamflet's hold on to your dicks, fellas. But he's taking another day off.
Hang on, there's a bot for this. Say that again, Sidge. What's he done?
He's taking another day off.
You're joking. Not another one?
I haven't seen it, but my read on, like, I've seen the odd clip on Instagram Reels, probably saw the trailer, read the odd review. But This Is 40, the movie, is basically about, like, a midlife crisis and how it's quite hard you got to work at things that you used to really just feel earnestly. And, it's a sobering look at midlife. This Is 40 for Hamflet is just the time of his life on holiday.
Did he have a not a cocktail? Did he have like?
Did he have a cock? Maybe once upon a time, but not anymore.
Did he have a short, but with the mixer being Mountain Dew? Because he had like a green,
he had a luminous green short alcoholic beverage. I don't know. We'll have to ask him. The minute I just kind of resent him for his.
Ask him when he's come back and he's real sad.
Like yesterday, what did I do? Got up, watched NXT. Great.
What a start to the day.
Shut up, you.
It was a sad show, end of metaphor, like probably more family stuff.
So I got up at arsehole o'clock to watch some utter slop. Fed the kids, got the kids ready for school, which is so much harder than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Took the kids to school, did the school run. Half sprinted to get the earlier metro out of dedication to get my bloody writing done. Wrote about 2,000 words in a long form deep dive into Extreme Championship Wrestling. During the friggin' dinner, it's like, right, I have to sort tonight's tea and tomorrow night's tea and spend loads of friggin' money. So go to Tesco, get the stuff for the thing. Get in. The missus is working late because the system's broken. You both have to work a lot of the time. Do Charlotte's book diary, so I have to write down her reaction to all the books we read over half term, and we did read them. Kids come in, bath the kids, get the kids dressed, entertain the kids. And, like, I'm just so tired. That arsehole is just in America.
You missed the other thing. Missed all of the goals in a really good Champions League match.
So I was putting one of the children to bed. And I miss...
Just collapse on the sofa,
and
basically.
then I just fell asleep at 9. I fell asleep, as I always do, about 10 past, 20 past 9. The match was so good that I think it was 9:30 I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Missed the last 10 minutes. And then he's in America, isn't he?
He's been there. Wait a second. No, I'll work this out because he's been there over 2 weeks now. Because 2 weeks ago.
I will say, during that time, I was doing my dream job and I love my family.
Yeah.
But it's
that's a
hard.
given. Yeah.
Life's hard, man. There's always stuff you've got to do.
Just think of it this, though. This time next week, he'll be back and he'll be proper nose to the grindstone.
Nose to the grindstone.
He's had, 2.5 weeks off he'll have had.
Aye.
And I mean, I know I'm the one who approves his holidays, but like, I assume just internally he'll be like, right, well, no more holidays for me for what? I mean, till what? August?
Probably? Yeah, probably summer holidays now.
Yeah. It was 55 minutes and 56 seconds in. Shout out to the Panda Blair, Adam Blair, at Adam Wilton and Jose Palomares at the Whole 11. The guys who always take care of the
data
for this sort of things. But yeah, earlier than anticipated this women's match.
Toni Storm, you can tell she's a star when she's getting the top of the hour.
The king of the castle.
The king of the castle, the top of the hour.
Yes, it
They
was.
made that filthy and timeless Toni Storm style. Hour, does that rhyme with anything? Filthy.
Top of the hour. Clock, cock. Is there anything in that?
Maybe. We'll workshop it.
I'll leave it to you. It was, timeless Toni Storm in a title eliminator against Mayu Yamashita, who kicked the crap out of her, to be honest. Early on, Storm blocks a PK, but after kicking out the leg on the apron, she tried a hip attack and got wedged between the ropes. Oh, yeah. Top of the deflowered.
So, yeah, that's just...
Top of the cock. Like, top of the clock.
Yeah.
On top of the... Yeah. She got her ass kicked. And I don't mean that, like, as the phrase that we often use. I mean, literally, she got her ass kicked until Luther stepped in. And he got his ass kicked as well.
Did you hear what he said?
No.
I
heard Taz saying, stop, he's an old man.
Just as the camera cut away from him selling, I'm fairly certain he went, I was going to need that later.
Did he?
Yeah.
Brilliant. I think that took us to a break, perhaps. But regardless, Storm makes a comeback. But Yamashita's like, draft or something. She just walks through the strikes, hits a roundhouse to lay out Storm. But Storm comes back with a released German suplex, charges for sweet cheek music, but runs right into a skull kick for a nice 2 count. She tries for her crush rabbit heats, but Storm cuts her off with a choke bomb for 2 of her own. Storm wants Storm 0, but Yamashita basically hit like an attitude adjustment. There's a buzzsaw kick. Storm dodged a running knee.
Buzzcore sick.
It's just one of those things, isn't it? Another snap German sends Yamashita into the corner, and she hits sweet cheek music and Storm 0 for the 1, 2, 3.
To be honest, I thought they approached this in the wrong way. And there were elements of the match that I enjoyed, but it's a sort of cohesive whole where I'm meant to be glued at the start, slowly drawn in, and then really engaged by the finish. It was more like, oh, that was good. And then
a bit stiff.
Oh, that was good. I think the problem is that Yamashita. I think they were
really
saying
bad.
Yamashita.
I think you're right, yeah. So apologies.
Yeah, we're hopeless. We're sorry. Ignorant idiots.
I can't say buzzsaw kicks.
No, I know. You got no excuse. Yamashita, I think she approached this as if the audience had a total buy-in in the way that, the native audience does when she's working in a home promotion. Because she doesn't have that here. And I think the vast majority of the crowd are thinking, comes with a good rep. Let's see what she has. She carried herself like her actual strikes, some of them look unbelievable. Like the height and the flexibility on those kicks and the fact that she can actually nail the impact. Some of it's like I went, like a load of the kicks, but in the spaces in between, she was sort of approaching the match and carrying herself, like when she's eating the strikes, as you said, as if fans have this buy-in of, like, what they used to have with Minoru Suzuki.
Exactly what I thought.
4 or 5 years ago before he just started to, be whatever.
She thought she had this aura, and it was impressive, but it wasn't like,
Because the fans didn't have that expectant, you're going home in a f***ing ambulance
Yes.
aura around her. It didn't feel like there was any suspense or any tension in the air or like a fear that Toni Storm not only is going to lose, but might even die in the process, you know. Because that didn't really exist, you instead had this pretty stilted, slow match that at times seemed to drag. That wouldn't drag if she'd been really effectively promoted and all the rest of it. You'd
We
start.
did a little video package before, and I should have mentioned that.
They did. But like, it felt like, you know, this wrestler's in the States. She's good.
Yeah.
We might as well. I think this pacing and structure might have worked, but unfortunately, because she was a relative unknown to everyone in that particular arena, it did not.
We aren't going to get the chance.
It wasn't bad. It was actually good.
Yeah.
It didn't work for the reasons I've just outlined.
We unfortunately aren't going to get the chance to preview or review due to the bank holiday here in the UK on Monday, AEW Collision. How do you think Toni Storm's going to fare against Lady Frost in the title eliminator?
I will say commentary did a good job of referencing a win-loss record on in CMLL right
Yes.
now. If I'm a betting man, I'm not going past Toni Storm.
Okay, yeah. I think that's a good call. Like you said, though, we're not playing Ladies' Night with no Michael Hafler here. But before we move on, I do want to show yourself and everybody watching something that was brought to our Las Vegas show in the wonderful HyperX. And thank you once again to HyperX and Luxor and everyone who
Look great.
there.
Looked like a lot of fun.
A massive thank you to Graham. I think it's at Graham is my name on X.
If he's American, though, wouldn't he be Graham?
Graham. Well, he probably is because he sent us a photo of the Luxor about 2 weeks before we even go in there. He made this incredible sign.
Look at that.
It says, if you're listening to just the podcast, it says, Ladies' Night, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I can't read these little side bits here.
I can help you out, buddy. It says, when the women come out to play, the main event ain't too far away.
Amazing.
Well, this is ladies' night, and I'm thinking, oh, what a night. Doing the Hetfield.
It's got a bit of a...
Been a while.
Got the old fold in it because I was so desperate to get it home. I was like, I'm just going to cram this in.
It's got the ladies' night and then the famous Austin things.
Yeah. Looks amazing. Thank you, Graham, for this.
Graham.
I'm going to keep it in here, and when we do it each week, I'll try and remember.
You know what? If that piece of trash...
Yes.
If that piece of trash, which is actually falling off as we speak, the little styrofoam brick wall...
Hold it up, you know. We could, if we had a bit of tape there, it might be...
Well, just if that falls off again, we'll tape that instead.
Yeah.
I'm sick of that.
It's all right.
But we might not have to deal with it much longer.
No. More on that when we're allowed to say about it, I suppose. Back to AEW Dynamite. And the Don Callas family are backstage. Don talks about making history. That's what Takeshita and Josh Alexander did last week when they put down Will Ospreay and Brody King. By the way, just a mention of Brody King there. If you haven't seen it, I only saw it with you, Sitch, for the first time yesterday on the WhatCulture Wrestling main channel. Check out, it's going to sound weird, check out Simon Miller's interview with Danhausen to see Simon Miller get chopped by Brody King.
Oh, it's great.
It's the most brutal chop Simon Miller says he's ever received. It's absolute chaos, the interview, in the best possible way. But yeah, shout out to both Danhausen and Brody King, who were just magic by the sounds of it. And by the looks of it, nearly cost us Simon Miller for WrestleMania weekend. He doesn't hold back. There's a bit where, what does he say just before he hits him? Got to protect the business.
Protect the business, kid.
It's the most terrifying thing anyone's ever said just before chop. Is what? What do you mean? Brody! Anyway, yeah, so that's what Takeshita and Josh Alexander did last week when they put down Ospreay and King. They're going to make history again tonight. Whenever I read that, you know whose voice I read it in?
Whenever you read what?
We're going to make history. It's Rick Ross. We making history! You were big. Anyway.
You were big, motherfucker. I loved that so much.
It's one of those things. Me and Sidge have like a Rolodex of classic clips that we like to watch. And it's like the whipping of Cody Rhodes. It's like once a year at least. And that's, I think,
Kenny Omega's All Out 2019 promo went, I did. First try.
Jade Cargill and Brandy Rhodes going at it. Brandy Rhodes and what was his name for American Top Team?
Dan Lambert.
Dan Lambert going at it. And then, whatever that was meant to be with Rick Ross, Swerve Strickland, Miss Keith Lee. What was the name of the other one? Not the other obvious one, the Brock Lesnar looking guy.
Parker Boudreaux.
Thank you, him. And Trench, of course.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Trench, lovely to have you back on the podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
It's nice to try some American food. We have sort of more traditional British foods. We like a bit
No doubt.
We have a bit of a roast on a Sunday here, like nice. It might be, it can be vegetarian, but it's often chicken or turkey or beef or pork or whatever, or lamb.
Yeah.
And alongside that, we have sort of seasonal vegetables. So there might be some roast potatoes, parsnips, broccoli, carrots, and sometimes we have petit pois, garden peas. Have you ever tried any of them?
Yeah, I've had peas before.
Thank you. By
Trench, another thing that's on the list, and I don't think we've ever really. Well, he's in the Fed now. It's fine.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. There's this promo, right? It is in and around the very cursed time of late 2023 when AEW's going awry, and tag team champions Big Bill and Ricky Starks are in a program which it was with Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, the Winnipeg Jets. Yes, the Golden Jets. I wish I'd buried that more at the time. What a waste of Omega.
Yeah.
I was willing to let it play out because Jericho was a good tag team wrestler, but whatever. So I think this is before the legendary Big Billy Starks promo. Well, that fell flat. That nightmarish one where, unbeknownst to anyone at the time, Kenny Omega's days from death.
Yes.
So they beat them up at some post pay-per-view. So Ricky Starks and Big Bill beat up Jericho and Omega, and then they are asked on Collision by Tony Schiavone to explain their actions. And Ricky Starks, who's always had his awkward moments in promos, is like interviewed by Tony Schiavone, who's like, tut, guys. You did that. It was wrong. Explain your actions. What the hell was that about, guys? And Ricky Starks is meant to say, I thought they were going to put up more of a fight. My man didn't even lose his glasses.
That's the way he should have said it.
Yeah. So Ricky Starks instead, you can see this on YouTube, and he's otherwise so much more cooler than me. Maybe that's why I get a bit of catharsis. See, even cool guys can be lame and dorky on occasion. I thought they was going to put up more of a fight, but my man didn't even lose his glasses. Look at it on YouTube. It's hilarious.
It is very funny. Love Ricky Starks, though. So we're making history, says Don Callas. Fletcher's going to do the same thing to Hangman Page, move on to Double or Nothing, and end Will Ospreay once and for all. Fletcher says he's going to beat him and go on and win the world title, and everyone will be forced to say his name. And Callas says, please allow me, and screams the proto-star Kyle Fletcher.
His delivery
when we
was
get
awesome.
that gym, by the way, which is the thing we're probably not allowed to talk about, I want to look like Kyle Fletcher by the end of the year.
Good luck.
He's incredible.
Yeah, my God.
I barely listened to the promo because I was just looking at him.
Yeah, Don Callis.
And, by the way, Takesh just stood there. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, he's
Jesus.
a piece. Don Callis' delivery was great. It just, I don't know why, but Don Callis' delivery here, it just feels like AEW knows that they're kind of brimming with confidence and they're just trying out like ridiculous reads of lines and things like that. Like Don Callis looks like he's loving his life.
Lost his goddamn mind at that main event. But then we get the Hurt Syndicate MJF segment.
Oh my God.
They come down to the ring. MVP says, let's try again. 3 thumbs up. You know what we're doing here. Out comes MJF. And he says, hey, look at you, Sean. Look how great you look. You know, puts him over. Obviously, he's got a great history, a great friendship with MVP. He just calls Montel, basically. And then he just turns to the most terrifying member of the group and goes, Bob.
I love this so much. You know when you just get this sense of this is whatever happens in this angle is going to be great. They are. This is so great. I just love that. I'm loving my first friend and oldest friend in wrestling, Shelton. Yeah, what's his nickname again?
I was trying to remember that. I can't remember off the top of my head. The excellence of execution is something else. The
standard of excellence.
That's it.
And then he's like, "Yeah, you're the best. You're the best, Bob."
Enjoy the car ride in.
It's like
breathing through the nose thing.
There's so much tension and suspense in these like ostensibly funny bits. It's amazing. All this.
So MVP's like, hey, let's get to the vote. Obviously, 2 thumbs up from Shelton and MVP. Bobby Lashley teases it. There's a bit of I was thinking, I want him obviously to get it. I was like, not yet.
Not yet. We need to dwell on this. Like that, mentioned it on commentary, and it was evident to anyone watching. This is no insight on nothing. This thumbs up bit's amazing.
I guess it's so over.
Everyone's like, everyone's like you, like, I want to see it, but not yet. I want to see this again next week.
Thumbs down from Bobby Lashley. MJF
Bob.
He's sick of Bob.
Don't say that. He's the best. Don't say that.
Don't say that, Maxwell. What do you want? I've given you lovely ladies. I've given you cars. I've helped you win matches. Maybe I should get you some Rogaine, you big bald son of a bitch.
Shut up. Shut up.
Max, what are you saying? And like, it's not even like...
He's so good at being throttled.
Yes. Everyone else seems to realize, ooh, you've really gone too far there. The swearing at him was already kind of too far or too brave in the face of Bobby Lashley, calling him a big bald son of a bitch, and he just stands by it. MVP's like, well, about to die, and I kind of need to let Bob get some in here, and he just grabs him by the face and backs him into the corner. MJF immediately screams he screamed, Martel, save me! And Lashley basically says, if you want to prove yourself, we hurt people. You need to hurt people like we do. And MJF sort of accepts, looks terrified. Hurt Syndicate leave. I also really like the bit where they leave. It's done. MJF, despite his history of this sort of thing, doesn't actually say anything else, doesn't fire back on the microphone, I'll show you sort of thing. He's still just there, just selling it in the ring. They walk out. Bobby Lashley's like, I want to kick his ass again. And even MVP's like, no, come on, Bobby, that's enough. I love this storyline.
It's amazing. It's so, the entertainment value in this is incredible. The sense of episodic week-to-week hook intrigue is incredible. I need to see where it's going next. I can't predict where it's going next, actually, because we're legends. We can. We knew at some point he's going to have to hurt someone because that's what Lashley's all about. Now, I know comparing something to 2020 WWE is a low bar. Mm-hmm. Quite possibly the lowest, right? But this goes with... Levesque did a job. Real job of doing anything with Bobby Lashley, right? Who has been he had that. 2021 was a lot better when he was the champ, granted. And Impact TNA did some good stuff with him, right? But for a guy who looks like that and carries himself like that, pro wrestling has kind of failed Bobby Lashley. He's one of many wrestlers who his entire career has coincided with just wretched creative. Wretched creative, right? I don't think MJF deserves enough praise. And obviously Lashley himself has been great here, right? But in 2020 WWE, the idea was the Hurt's business, as they were known at the time, would just literally look the business, resplendent in these suits, carrying themselves like elite, premier, money-making athletes. And they always looked the part. I never felt it really. It was always like, that's a great idea, but this lot, this version of Vince, this version of the Fed ain't ever going to get it. Like, the Drew stuff was really good, but it never fulfilled its promise. And MVP said this, MJF, more than any booker I can remember in Lashley's, near 20-year career, if not a bit longer at this point. Has anyone been better than MJF at making Bobby Lashley look like the most terrifying bloke on the face of the planet? His work here has been tremendous. The tension, the suspense, the entertainment value, it's all been great. But Bob, this idea of Lashley, limb from limb, I will tear you with my bare hands. Like every time Max starts to really push it with him. You're like, oh, don't. You're meant to have that feeling watching Bobby Lashley for 20 years of, oh, don't cross him. How realistically, how much have you felt that against Karrion Kross in the Final Testament? Not really. Levesque, I thought you were the Booker of the Year. And this whole thing has been expert. I want to see MJF's going to hurt someone. It's going to be great.
I had an idea as you were talking there. What if this may be the thing? I still really like our idea of, and they sort of teased it somewhat with them attacking just some random guys backstage this week of our thing we've talked about on a couple of podcasts, our sort of state of AEW one at the start of the week and the Dynamite preview of him attacking someone who dings Bobby Lashley's car or offends them in some way, but he's just like a stagehand or whatever. He's just a weasel. And MJF's like, that's someone I can kick the crap out of nice and easy. What if either that happens or you can do this once he's part of the Hurt Syndicate. Someone calls Bobby Lashley Bob, and MJF's like, what did you call him? Put some respect on that man's name.
So many ways they can go with this. And again, it's just, I love it when AEW is ahead of you and has an idea better than you. Because the idea is, right, okay, well, I'm the mark. I think I can put myself forward as one of the best analysts of the product when I see it. I would say I can't fantasy book particularly well. I'm more analytical than creative, I believe. I love it when a promotion completely wrong foots you, and just does something where you think, I would never have thought of that. And they could, because they're the ones who know what they're doing. I love that feeling of that idea more than most things in pro wrestling. And if you would have said to me at the start of the year, who do you want to see interact with each other, wrestle, cut promos on each other, whatever, I would have went, right. I want to see Ospreay and Hangman. Never seen that before. We're getting it. I want to see Kenny do things with such and such or whatever. Would I have ever in a million years said, I reckon MJF and Lashley would have unbelievable chemistry? I just wouldn't have. No. I wouldn't have, and they have, and it's the highlight of episodic TV. This is great stuff. Truly rejuvenating MJF's career. He's been amazing this year.
This is for you and for you at home, because I'll definitely forget by Wednesday next week. Remind me. We'll do the game of who does MJF hurt this week.
Yes.
Because it could be anyone, and we can look at the wide-ranging roster. Yeah. And I can just keep scrolling as well, because it could just be like a backstage interview or something. Yeah. And it's like, what if it's like Alex Abrahantes or something?
What was that? Alex Marvez.
Alex Marvez.
Alex Marvez interviews the Hurt Syndicate, right? Has a bit of a, he just says the wrong thing. Really upsets them. Cowers. And MJF just kicks his head in. See?
I took out Alex Marvez for you. Huh? What took out of me? Nothing.
And, CM Punk said, hurt people. MJF might be really qualified for that job.
So this was when we got the ROH TV title match that we've already talked about with Nick Wayne defending against Jay Lethal. Excalibur then confirms, 2 weeks at Beach Break. Jon Moxley, Samoa Joe, world title steel cage match. And then it was time for the main event of the evening, the Owen Hart Cup semi-final, to see who faces Will Ospreay at Double or Nothing. It was Hangman Page versus Cole Fletcher. John Callas. Who?
Who's John? I know Don Callas is, mate. Who's John Callas?
Where I got that from? I haven't written it.
It's John Callas, Don Callis' twin brother.
That's his brother with hair, yeah.
That reminds me of the most sleep-deprived I've ever been in my entire life. I might have told the story before. I will do so quickly. I was trying to give my wife a breather from a wonderful firstborn son who just never slept through or slept consistently. So week 3 of paternity leave, my child is 3 weeks old. I just say to Francis, you're going to get at least 2.5 hours sleep, because I'm going to take him out in the pram the second that he falls asleep, and I will fight the stirring by just rolling him around.
Yeah.
So I just roll him around my hometown, or where I'm living rather. Go to the park so I can look at some scenery, and I'm just so sleep deprived. And I see a really nice woman walking a dog. Yeah. And this woman just is very nice. Goes, "Good morning." And I go, "Yeah, good morning to you too." It's bloody hard, isn't it? You've probably been here before. I don't know. See you later. And then I'm just doing laps around this park, and I see the woman again. And she says to me, just see your better looking twin before, which was basically her way of saying, I just saw you 5 minutes ago. because I'm so sleep deprived and angry a little bit and irritable because I'm not getting any sleep. In my head, I'm thinking she saw someone who looks like me but is better looking, and it's just
Next you a bit.
So I was like, bitch. I just walked around. I didn't say that to her. That was my narrative. And I'll go home and I tell Frances the story about I'm really put out by this. And she goes, you idiot. And that's the story of twins.
So yeah, Don Callas, John's talented brother, during commentary, immediately called Paige a scumbag. He's like, let's go back. Put his headphones on, and Fletcher immediately takes a powder from a Paige chop. I genuinely popped at Carl Fletcher, pulling the hair and then riding Hangman Page like a cowboy.
Hey, get him, cowboy. Even better was when Page got his shins just like thingied him to the floor, and he ate crap on that bump.
Yeah.
Which you're meant to do when you're playing the heel and being a dickhead. Face first on the mat.
Page wants a buckshot early. Fletcher goes to the outside, but Page flies in, sends him over the barricade into the commercials. When we come back, I missed this in the adverts. Came back, I was like, what the hell's happened to Carl Fletcher's back?
No offense, Carl Fletcher. I'm so happy that you're in agony and that your back got destroyed.
Yes.
Because now the next time I see a barricade bump, because they're all too frequent as wrestling, just as excessive as it is, I'm going to think, ooh, that actually hurt.
Yeah, he got cut open hitting the LED barricade, basically. And he's like, his lower back was bleeding. Ugh.
Great, thank you.
Just like, again, one of those
There's
things.
gravity now.
I can't imagine what, taking huge powerbomb off the top rope would feel like, because I'm never going to put myself in that position. But I've accidentally cut myself on things, and certainly not as bad as this, but like,
Actually, a bit of a moron to do that.
Yeah,
mate.
not like. I just sat there and I was like, oh God, imagine that. Like, he's gonna finish this match up, and then probably for the next few days when he puts a t-shirt on or has a shower, bastard.
Yeah, but thank you. I needed that. Didn't know I needed it.
Bit of juice. It'd be the old lower back juice from Carl Fletcher. Yeah, and again,
bleed your back, bleed your back.
Bleed your lower back.
Bleed your back, bleed your back.
Like, in a sequence where he hits...
More body parts should get bladed. Remember when Moxley was blading his ear and his arms and stuff, and then Jericho was blading his tit?
It's not even blading. Do you remember the bit with Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton when he twizzled his ear?
Yeah. That's an ear, isn't it, that much? That's fine.
It's the whole bit in the ear. Yeah, goes through me, that. But yeah, in a sequence where Hangman Page hit a sliding lariat and a huge DVD after he caught Carl Fletcher, the thing I thought was probably the worst was the back body drop that he hit, because A, it was big, and B, I was like, that's your scratched back.
Yeah.
Anyway, Page wants a moonsault.
Accidental blood invariably enhances a match's quality.
Yeah. Also helps if Carl Fletcher, after Page wants a moonsault, hits a brainbuster on the apron. Oh, cool. So Hangman Page is dead? But no, he comes back after they fight on top of the barricade, and there's a moonsault into a tombstone to take us to a break.
Oh my God.
The sequence was so well done. And guess what, dickheads? They sold it via a real close...
Yeah, the count out, wasn't it?
Almost peak New Japan from Fletcher, because New Japan Prime would love that count out tease. And some of those 19 and a halves were great. That 9.8 tenths from Carl Fletcher was really great. Not for the first time I thought it was the finish in this match, which was really impressive because you knew Hangman Page was going to win.
Yeah.
Not when the match was happening, you didn't.
No, when you come back from the break, Page hit a big superplex to take out. Everyone's out on this. Page wants a dead eye, but Fletcher floats out of it, hits a big boot, wants a power bomb. Page flips out of that, hits a dead eye for a nice 2 count. He tries for a moonsault, but Fletcher gets the boots up to the face and hits a sort of sit-out last ride for a 2 count. They fight on the apron again. Page hit another dead eye. Huge moonsault. He wanted the buckshot, but Fletcher grabs the referee, or shoves the referee out of the way, I should say, and just kicks Page as hard as he can in the dick. Hits a brainbuster, and I thought, oh, so it's Carl Fletcher, Will Ospreay at Double or Nothing?
That might be the near fall of the year for me. That might be the near fall of the year.
Great 2 count. Huge pap.
Incredible near fall.
Yeah. Callas, as I mentioned earlier, loses his mind at this.
Maybe something from the Ospreay take match. Basically, AEW's been class recently.
Yeah. Fletcher hits a boot in the corner, takes Page up, wants a top rope brainbuster, but Page clotheslines his way out of it, and then does sort of a... Yeah.
Oh my God.
A buckshot out of the corner, out of the turnbuckle area, and then hits a proper buckshot to get the 1, 2, 3 and punch his ticket for Double or Nothing.
I don't think, even in my beloved February 2020, or everyone else's beloved summer of 2021, Ospreay Takeshita, Young Bucks Knight Speedball, Hangman Fletcher, we got the 8-man as well. 3 consecutive weeks of TV matches of that quality. I don't think that's ever happened in AEW. Obviously, there's been some amazing ones. There's been some great stretches, like the Danielson Gauntlet ahead of Revolution 2023 might count, when he had like Bandido and Takeshita and Roosh. If those were 3 weeks in a row, maybe. And it probably has happened, but my God, not in a long, long time of matches being the caliber of this. It's ridiculous. You almost get worried. Like, how can it get better? This finishing sequence. The whole match was great, enhanced by the blood. You know what's weird? Like, as vicious as some of it looked, as wicked as some of the execution was, like, I thought they held something back a little bit, because they're probably going to revisit this. They should. It was an awesome match. But, like, I loved that near fall, that false finish from the nut shot. And that buckshot variation. I'd say, like, my favorite thing in pro wrestling is ideas, because there's been so much homogenized style and overlap, and so many styles have been fused together, and the creative direction. Like, even the best stories in the last few years have been heavily indebted to stuff we've seen. Like MJF Cody, it was the no-touch AEW version of Taz versus Sabu. And, you know, I'm working on this ECW long-form article, and it really puts into perspective just how influential that promotion was. Now, every kind of idea has been done in terms of booking, and wrestling was too good for its own good. I said this in the late 2010s and early 2020s, to the point where I feel like a bit of a malaise. So when I see ideas, that's my favorite thing in the world, man. Like, there's some of the ideas for Ospreay to evolve his layout against Takeshita blew my mind. The idea to do the One-Winged Angel in this first match blew my mind. This buckshot, which was so cool because it put Hangman Page over as this intelligent, resourceful baby face that he is. I don't think he's ever done it, and it was such an awesome idea. I just love new ideas. And AEW, to its credit, I mean, the Athena Mercedes match, loads of ideas. I'm loving the ideas in AEW. I'm so bored of seeing, really good match again. I felt nothing. Am I the asshole? Like, ideas for riffs on spots, for riffs on counters, for sequences. Like, if I see a new idea, that's what I love most in pro wrestling right now, where I'm at in my personal phase of my fandom. And AEW has been thick with new cool ideas over the past month.
Another great show. Let us know your thoughts on it in the comment section below, or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, they can follow both of us. You follow Michael Sidgwick at
Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. As I said, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, this has been the Dynamite review. My thanks to Michael Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.